To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that...
Why does she sound kind of drunk? Guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another quick hits video where I react to breaking stories and viral clips in short form. Today we got to talk about Kamala Harris because the former vice president and failed presidential candidate is back. Just what we all were like waiting for, right? God, I miss Kamala so much. Please, won't she come grace us with her discourse and her presence and start talking about being unburdened by things that have been or whatever. Well, she's back. She's hawking a book, of course. So she's doing the media circuit. And she made her big comeback interview on MSNBC with Rachel Maddow. And it was really bad. Like whatever you're imagining, it was significantly worse than that. We're going to take a look at a couple clips from this. First, the part where she talked about not picking Pete Buttigieg as her vice president because he's gay, but also she definitely didn't say that, but even though that's what she wrote in the book, it was really quite something. Let's watch.
If his reaction to that, since this part of the book has come out, if you've had any reflection on that, or I guess I'd ask you to just elaborate on that a little bit. It's hard to hear.
Yeah.
With you running as, you're the first woman elected vice president. You're a black woman and a South Asian woman elected to that high office, very nearly elected president. To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That
is what she said. We have the book. Why is she we're like 30 seconds in, and Kamala is already gaslighting us. Let's read the quote before we watch her kind of double back and gaslight us. Here's what she wrote in her book about Pete Buttigieg. Of the 8 names on the list for vetting, I might as well say that Pete Buttigieg was my first choice. Harvard grad, multilingual Rhodes Scholar, business consultant, naval intelligence officer, twice elected Midwestern mayor, cabinet secretary, loving husband and father. He was well qualified in so many respects. I love Pete. I love working with Pete. He and his husband, Chasten, are friends. He is a sincere public servant with the rare talent of being able to frame liberal arguments in a way that makes it possible for conservatives to hear them. He knows the importance of taking our case to people who aren't usually exposed to it and is magnificent at sparring with opponents on Fox News. So that's really fascinating because he... Basically, I mean, I kind of agree that in terms of the Democrats, Pete Buttigieg is one of their better spokespeople. I think he's kind of a squish isn't the right word, but he's kind of a little sleazy in that he goes where the wind blows and he does a lot of consultant speak, but he's articulate and sharp for sure. And he does have a good background, but she did basically write that she wouldn't pick him because he's gay. Here's the second part of that. He would have been an ideal partner if I were a straight white man, but we were already asking a lot of America to accept a black woman married to a Jewish man. Part of me wanted to say, screw it, let's just do it. But knowing what was at stake, it was too big of a risk. And I think Pete also knew that, to our mutual sadness. So she just said, yeah, I didn't put him on the ticket because he was gay and I thought it would be too much. So he was like a reverse DEI casualty, I guess. I don't know. But that's what she said very explicitly in the book. Yeah, she's going to try to say she didn't say that now that she's on television. I mean, I guess it makes sense considering that she's clearly had a glass of wine or two before getting on this interview and that she certainly didn't write her own book. Some paid ghostwriter did. But still not adding up here. Let's continue.
That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested elections for president of the United States, against someone like Donald Trump who knows no floor, to be a black woman running for president of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, It made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk.
So she just admitted that is what she did. She wrote in the book, I thought with me being a black woman and other stuff, it would be too much to also have a gay running mate. So I didn't pick Pete, even though he was my first choice. Then Rachel Maddow, who is, by the way, a lesbian, is like, it's kind of tough to hear you say you didn't pick him because he's gay. She's like, that's not what I said. Then explains why that is, in fact, what she said. Kamala is just really bad at this. Like, she is an inept politician who kind of, through a combination of DEI and being well connected, I suppose, and maybe a gifted fundraiser, ended up failing up several times and then wound up as the presidential nominee. I don't think she would have become it if they'd had an actual primary, but because Biden had to pull out and she was already the VP, she kind of just got it handed down to her. But she's always been very bad at the actual substance of being a politician. Interviews, dialogue, coherent responses. I don't know, man. It's really, really something. And even in this such a friendly environment like MSNBC, she still manages to stumble over herself like this. It's remarkable. And it did not get better.
No matter how, I've been an advocate and an ally of the LGBT community my entire life. So it wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but
that
we had such a short period of time, and the stakes were so high. I think Pete is a phenomenal public servant.
Okay, so that's the thing. She didn't have a lot of time. The stakes were so high. So you picked Tim Walz. That guy, I don't think he was much of an asset just because he was a straight white dude who tried to talk to men about football and then actually didn't seem to know a whole lot about football, which is strange. And they were calling him coach because he coached decades ago. I don't know. That didn't work. And so maybe if you just pick the person that you thought was the best for the job and not really made their identity a big deal, that would have worked out better, Kamala. But that's just antithetical to the whole DEI thing, where they really do analyze people based on the boxes they check off on the census. None of this is to say that it's like indefensible to be concerned about like, would having a gay person on the ticket hurt me? Because frankly, the demographic with which it might have hurt her would be like particularly minority men, black men, maybe other minority men demographics, but she already kind of hurt with that group anyway. I don't know. And I don't think it would have made a huge difference either way. Honestly, I think she would have lost. So I think we're kind of engaging in all this wish casting and identity second guessing for no real reason. I don't think vice presidents make that big a difference, but it is just remarkable to see how like they pretended she was good at this. Mainstream media, once she became the nominee, they like after years of quietly acknowledging that she was really, really bad at this, they suddenly insisted that she was actually like stunning and talented and amazing, and no one bought it. And here we are with more proof as to why.
And I think America is and would be ready for that. But when I had to make that decision with 2 weeks to go, and maybe I was being too cautious, I'll let our friends, we should all talk about that. Maybe I was, but that's the decision I made, and I, as with everything else in the book, I'm being very candid about that.
Yeah.
With a great deal of sadness about also the fact that it might have been a risk.
Yeah, so candid. Thank you so much for your candor, Madam Vice President, as you like gaslight us when asked about something you said you did very explicitly in your book, but then say you didn't do it, but then explain how actually you did. I can't be the only one who just feels gaslit by this woman constantly. Really, like, where is this mythical political talent we've been told about? Because I feel like she just comes off as so inauthentic and so stilted and so slightly intoxicated at all times. Like I have no idea if she really did have a little bit of wine before this, but she always just seems like she did. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving her too much credit. Maybe she's just like that. honestly, which I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about Kamala and about her kind of poking her head back out, because apparently she might run again. At least that's what they're suggesting in this interview. She won't rule it out. Watch a little bit more here.
Will you consider running in 2028?
That's not my focus right now.
I know
it's not my focus at all.
I know
it really isn't.
I'm just going to.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're not considering it now, but are you saying, when you said you're not going to run for governor of California?
Correct.
Were you saying you are never going to run for anything ever again, or were you just saying I'm not going to run for that office right now?
That was the decision before me, and I made the decision not to run for governor of California. By the way, there are a lot of great candidates running, and I love my state, and we want somebody to definitely follow in the footsteps of Gavin in terms of standing up and understanding the power that California has to stand up to what we're saying in D.C.
As politic as you are being in those remarks, you are beautifully impolitic in this book.
Gosh, if Democrats actually put her up again, they just deserve to lose. Like, she is so bad at this. She's so inauthentic, and the public just doesn't like her. They do not want more Kamala. The Democrats, I mean, even like an AOC, who I find, ideologically abhorrent in so many ways, is such a better communicator and politician and personality than the likes of Kamala Harris. So they would really be just owning themselves by putting her back out there at any point. And even CNN just did this absolutely brutal segment going over the polling on Kamala and saying, like, just it would be such a massive own goal to trot her out as a presidential nominee again in a couple years. Watch this remarkable CNN clip.
I would just say that if you want a messenger to go against Donald Trump, you can do far better as Democrats than Kamala Harris. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look at her net favorable ratings nationwide. Back in October of 2024, she was at -5 points. Not exactly great, but pretty close to the zero mark, right? Pretty close to even. But now, down under she goes. She's at -13 points. That's an 8-point drop. Since the general election among the overall electorate, she is not well liked at this particular point. The American people, they don't want this. They don't want her. And get this, she's 37 points underwater with independents. If you can't win independents, you can't win the election. And the bottom line is, with those in the center electorate, those who are the most up for grabs, she is way, way, way underwater. She is definitely swimming with the fishes.
So that
You guys know that if there was any way to spin the data, any way to spin the polling that didn't reflect so terribly for Kamala Harris, CNN would probably be doing it. But the reality is that bleak. This woman has no political talent. She has no political future that involves winning a national election. And if Democrats have any sense at all, they will give her a nice perch at some think tank or university and tell her to go away and not run for anything ever again. That's my take. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you're enjoying these quick hit videos, by the way. And if you're interested in more of my content, check out my podcast, Brad vs. Everyone, where I take on media insanity, internet craziness, and so much more in longer form. The links to check that out are in the description. And with that, guys, we'll be back with more content real soon.